Welcome to the FiveStack, everybody. My name is Dean. That is my friend Zev Shalev. Narrative.org is where you'll find him and all his incredible work. I'm at deanblundell.substack.com. We got some humdingers for you today. Let me just kind of go through the lineup that you sent me. You put all the work in. I'll take the glory for it and read the lineup if you don't mind.
You're good at that.
I'm a big glory hog.
Yeah.
Yeah, huge.
Yeah.
Putin-Trump tunnel. We're going to get to that in just a second. Craziest fucking story in the world. It'll be the biggest story all weekend long, and it's just breaking now. We just had an Oval Office kind of meeting about the whole thing, and hang in there for that. We've got the Venezuelan government mobilizing for a potential invasion. Yes, Venezuela versus the United States. We know how this is going to go.
We don't know how this is going to go.
Pretty sure I do. I think I
know. No.
Now, hang on. The boat strike. Yeah, we had another one. 27 people dead, except, make that 25 because 2 people survived and they're talking. It's not great. John Bolton pled guilty today in revenge indictment. And of course, Trump wavering on that Ukraine deal with tomahawks after his Putin call. And we'll get to what happened in the Oval Office. And at the cabinet roundtable today with Zelensky and Trump. But before we get started, I just wanted to point something out to everybody. I don't care if you're a baseball fan or not. You should be today. The Toronto Blue Jays are now tied with the Seattle Mariners in their best of 7 ALCS, winning last night 8-2. Yes, I watched it with Schmidt. Yes, we had a great time. Yes, I think he might actually be Steve Schmidt from The Warning. I think he might actually be a soothsayer. I think he's got some innate kind of abilities because before the series started, he goes, we're going to lose 2 at home. We're going to win 2 there, maybe 3, and then we're going to come back and win it at home. That is exactly what is happening. So the birds are alive. Everybody's happy. Toronto's in the house. We got no Kings this weekend. Nick Perro is going to join us, veteran, to talk about some of that stuff because we're going to cover it for you. So a real full-scale show, and just wanted to give some credit to my Toronto Blue Jays before we started.
Are they still playing more games after this?
Yes, Zev.
How many games do they have to play to get to win this thing? I mean,
the World Series, it's the thing? Yeah. Well, they got to win 3 out of 4 in their division series, so they did that. Then they got to win 4 out of 7. So now we're up to 7. Then they got to win another 4 in the World Series. So if they win this, they go to the championship round. It's called the World Series. God, I love being able to explain sports to a grown-ass man.
You hate that. You hate that.
I
hate that
I fucking love it. It's like a clean slate.
You're like, I can't believe I have to explain this to you. But
yes.
Thank you for explaining it to me.
Well, no, listen, there are so many benefits to working with you. I just want to point this out, and I want to avoid all stereotypes. Yeah. But the fact that I get to work with a very smart gay man who knows nothing about sports not only gives me a window into the beautiful, wonderful LGBTQ community, but it also allows me to talk about sports with wide-eyed optimism because you're just hanging on every sports word right now, aren't you?
Absolutely, because I really care. I really care that the Blue Jays are going to win the World Series, which is played between 2 countries, really?
Yeah.
The World Series, that's...
Although it's usually just played in one country between, but Canada's got a team. Yeah.
That's baseball for you.
Where are we starting today, Mike?
At number 5, a Kremlin envoy is openly promoting a Putin-Trump tunnel connecting Siberia to Alaska, because everyone wants to travel between those 2 places, with a massive trade corridor running directly through Canadian territory.
Yeah.
And Trump called it interesting. Kirill Dmitriev, who's the CEO of Russia's Sovereign Wealth Fund and a Putin insider, very close to Putin, as we've been saying over the last few days, has been flooding social media, pushing the plan, even tagging Elon Musk's Boring company to build it to avoid World War III. They love playing that card. The proposal treats Canadian sovereignty like an inconvenient detail, carving up the Yukon and British Columbia on maps without bothering to ask permission, while serving Putin's real goal, normalizing relations with a potential Trump administration. Now, it's a joke, probably. It's not going to happen. But on the other hand, it's kind of serious.
It's quite serious. And it was legitimized today because I saw Kirill Dmitriev. Everybody knows who Kirill Dmitriev is. If you haven't, we at length explained who he was. He's the head of the RDIF, which is the Royal Defense Investment Fund in Russia Defense Investment Fund in Russia. It's super tight, and he's running interference now. He's all over Twitter, and he's got these beautiful back and forth supporting the Trump regime, calling every other president before them a warmonger, telling everybody that they want peace with the United States, telling everybody that'll listen that it's in everybody's best interest to not only normalize relations with the United States of America and Russia and to forget about what they're doing in Ukraine. He's also passing documents like the JFK file to Anna Paulina Luna, who's the point person for Trump on this. The point person for Putin is Kirill Dmitriev. The point person for this is Anna Paulina Luna. She
Anna
announced last
Paulina is also the point person for Putin. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, she doubles.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a bunch of those double agents in the Trump regime, by the way. Steve Witkoff will be one. I mean, yeah, they're all double agents to some extent.
Yeah.
So they've been talking publicly, and they've announced this meeting back on October 8th that Kirill Dmitriev is going to meet with Anna Paulina Luna, and they keep hanging on to the same phrases, catchphrases, trigger words like, you want to avoid World War III. Everybody wants peace. The West, all they want to do is warmonger. Now, these are Russian talking points coming directly out of the mouth of Anna Paulina Luna, directly out of the mouth of every MAGA operative that is retweeting this stuff. And let me tell you what he's tweeting. Kirill Dmitriev tweeted out a picture that came from those JFK files handed to Anna Paulina Luna by the KGB, FSB, and the Russian ambassador to the United States of America, which he did not vet, immediately put out, was taken back, and now is being redacted to try to make it look like LBJ had fucking Kennedy taken out. So park that just for a second.
Yeah.
In this 300-page document dump into the United States from Russia, there's this, see this map? See that sweet map?
Yeah, there's a nice map there.
Yeah. Kirill Dmitriev is like, hey, this is from the Kennedy-Khrushchev era, but I think we need to build this bridge right now. There's a bridge or a tunnel that goes over the Bering Strait, through the Bering Strait into Alaska. Now, what you see here, if you can, pay attention, if I can keep my thing on, there we go. What you see here, which is really interesting, is it cuts a massive swath. It effectively takes Canada's west coast away from it.
Yeah.
See that?
Well, who needs British Columbia anyhow?
Correct. And so not only are they proposing that this happens, they're actually actively talking about it. This is one of the topics of conversation I found out through one of my sources today. In Alaska, when they met, they said, infrastructure, because that's Putin's way, right? Infrastructure is the way to go. And you want rare earth minerals, I want rare earth minerals. You want energy, I want energy. There's this 90-mile gap between our two beautiful countries. What if we engaged in a tunnel build and we started pushing that tunnel across the Bering Strait to connect both of our countries so we could freely trade anytime we fucking want? It is not just a pipe dream. I don't know if you have the audio, if you could play it for me here. This is today. Zelensky in the White House meeting with Trump and his cabinet, talk about tomahawks. We'll get to some of the comeuppance from that a little later on. A Russian reporter was tasked to put this on the record in the form of a question, to which Trump says he doesn't know about it, and then talks about how awesome it'll be to swap minerals and oil between the United States and Russia. Have a listen to this.
Tunnel to connect Russia and Alaska. Are you interested?
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska that's going to get us to a lot of minerals, and we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like it. I don't think you liked it. I don't think you liked it.
Well,
Suck on
he doesn't
that
like it. Yeah.
today. Of course he doesn't like it. He asked, that was in front of Zelensky. That was a strategic question from an RT reporter who was in the fucking White House, asking Trump about his opinion of this tunnel. And then he looked at Zelensky and he's like, I don't think you'd like that, would you? No, I wouldn't.
You know why Zelensky probably doesn't like it is because this is exactly what happened to Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine has been encroached on for a long time now by the Russians in infrastructure moves, in developing, these bridges, in building up all sorts of resources around their border. And what Americans need to know from this is that what Putin and Trump are cooking up is to give up Alaska to Russia, because that is really what their goal is. I mean, this has been a spoken goal of Vladimir Putin for a very long time. He really wants Alaska back. It used to be Russian territory. America bought it. He wants it back. And Trump is his sycophant and his puppet and his puppy, and he will give it back to him because that's what his boss wants. And so they might be talking about tunnels and bridges and peace and whatever, but this is really the breakup of the United States of America, of a key American state. And worse than that, it is also a real national security threat to both the United States and to Canada, because now you're allowing Russia to be a tunnel right away or a bridge right away from the Canadian border and from American border, and that is beyond unacceptable for anyone to even be discussing. Because especially as they're prosecuting this war against Ukraine right now, the same kind of war, and Zelensky's sitting in that room right now.
Yeah.
And,
Let me point something out today. Zelensky's in that room right now. They're talking about building a tunnel and working with Russia. Meanwhile, he says he's going to support Ukraine. He was bullish about that today as well. Also ambiguous. But let me point out what the real goal here is. Alaska, you see Alaska there? See Russia? What's that? What's that right there? Second biggest landmass in the world by country.
Called Canada.
It's called Canada. Canada is the most mineral, rare earth rich country in the fucking world. In the world. The AI revolution requires energy that the United States does not have, energy that Russia cannot harness with the infrastructure and the economy that they have. This is the goal. Right there. It's not to encroach on Canada's sovereignty. It's the slow bleed of fake partnerships through disingenuous agreements with the president of the United States and Vladimir Putin, who don't give a fuck about our sovereignty, our minerals, our energy, our oil, our forestry. Don't give a fuck. All they care about is how are we going to sustain our goals without Canada. And if you ask anybody in Mark Carney's orbit, today's announcement and the ongoing rhetoric around this supposed Trump-Putin tunnel is a very serious issue, to the point where we have absolutely nuked the timeline when it comes to putting real, serious surveillance, military hardware, cutters, boats, Navy, military installations into the north to try to shore up Canada's sovereignty, specifically in Alaska, specifically in the Great Northwest Territories and the Great Northwest Passage, specifically in the Hudson's Bay area, because we're trying to rebuild our country. We're trying to do something that's never been done really in the history of this country, which is realize our raw energy, raw materials, rare earth production and sales potential. We're trying to do that so we can build our military. We're trying to do that. And this on top of the attempted normalizations of relations between the United States and Russia, isn't just a red flag for the Canadian government. It is, what are you going to do about it? That's what today was. That's what this is, and that's what Dmitriev is working on with Vladimir Putin and Mr. Donald Trump.
Whoever wins the world in the future will have had to do it through winning AI and winning the Arctic. Those are the two things that really matter for the future of nations in the world.
Yep.
And what Putin has designs on, and she has designs on, is complete control of the Arctic Circle, basically. And, Canada stands in the way of that, and Greenland stands in the way of that. And that's why they have designs to go to war with both of those countries. And with that, it'll be a real death knell to democracy. Of course, Canada's one of the few last vestiges of democracy, of liberal democracy as we know it. Certainly Europe is the other. And this is why, we talk about a war against democracy and a war, by autocrats in order to destroy democracy. This is what they're going for. They're not going for the idea of having tyrannical states or autocratic states. What they're going for is the Arctic, because the resources in the Arctic, and they're going for AI because the resources in the Arctic and in Canada. And, we have to frame every conversation around how are they going to turn whatever it is they're doing into a monetary success for them, which is all about trade, rare earth minerals, and winning AI.
Mm-hmm.
And that, this is where we're at. And they talk, about a whole bunch of other things, but their number one goal is resources and control of the Arctic, which will eliminate a lot of the trading routes and the amount of time it takes to get from China to the west.
Well said. Absolutely. That's all it's about. That's it. Nothing
Number
more.
4.
Yeah.
On the countdown.
What do you got?
Countdown today.
I know you really flubbed that word. It could have been bad for us right there when you said countdown.
How would I have flubbed it? I don't.
You missed the O.
Oh. Number 4, Venezuela's Nicolas Maduro is mobilizing troops along the Caribbean coast and activating what he claims is a million-strong militia as the biggest U.S. military buildup in the Caribbean since the 1980s continues to grow. The regime's propaganda machine is telling Venezuelans that America is coming for their oil wealth while frantically building defenses. And while Venezuela's military may be underfunded and ill-trained, asymmetric warfare and urban combat could turn any U.S. invasion into another Iraq or Afghanistan. Plus, the guerrillas they have in that part of the world, very, very well trained for their terrain. The Senate is trying to stop Trump's escalation, but the president is already planning for ground troops as he continues blowing up boats in international waters. It's spiraling out of control. And, this is a quagmire that we're potentially heading into. And everyone thinks it'll be a piece of cake to go and take over Venezuela. It's not going to be that. They have the Cuban army to defend against because they'll be backing up Venezuela. They have the guerrilla warfare problem that, they've experienced before in places like Vietnam. This is not going to be an easy war by any stretch of the imagination. It could be a quagmire that bogs America down for a very long time.
South American Vietnam. Yeah, I heard that today too. I think a lot of people, including myself, just think it's just going to be a cakewalk. But what you don't understand, and I think, what you don't understand, I think, is how South America works, how these militias work. They're all intertwined. Most of the militias in South America were funded by the United States of America, believe it or not, to be a thorn in the side of regimes and governments and people that they didn't like. The Iran-Contra affair comes to mind. You might want to look that one up. Lev's done some unbelievable homework when it comes to the Iran-Contra affair as it sits with Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein and what that whole thing started, which is what we're in today. So let's not gloss over the idea that the United States is just going to walk in and wipe out Venezuela, take over the country, and install their own leader in Venezuela. And also, let's not gloss over the fact that it doesn't matter if you like Maduro or not. 1 million fucking militia, men and women in militia, and then drawing in from all those other South American countries, because it's like getting in a family fight, right? Like, you and your family might like to fight. You might like to get into a scrap now and again. And the second someone comes over and gets into one of your family members, you could be literally standing there knocking your brother in the face with rights and lefts, him doing the same to you. Someone comes in to break it up or attacks you or your brother. You immediately turn on that guy. Everybody turns on that guy for the right to continue to fight with yourselves. That is what South American countries are all about. That's what Canada's all about. That's what America's all about. That's what every country in the world is all about. That's nationalism. That's cultural pride. That's, regional pride. That's what happens. So I know Trump's looking for a distraction, and I know he's looking to bust up Venezuela. I mean, he's got 7,000 troops, 9 warships, a couple of B-2 bombers, some fighter jets, like 10, I think, F-35s that are in Puerto Rico right now, and they're staging, getting ready to go to war with Venezuela. But to your point, every war analyst has said the same thing. Fighting someone, and look at what's going on in fucking Ukraine. Russia was going to roll over them in 3 fucking days. It's been 3.5 fucking years. We're almost in year 4. Yeah. And not only is Ukraine not stronger today because of it, they're winning. They're winning against the second. Now, Russia's a 6 dressed as a 9. I get that. I mean, their military is decrepit, all those other things. You had the oligarchs profit taking while their equipment sat and rotted and, got bogged down in some of those hilarious conga lines of Russian equipment that got stopped on their way to Kyiv, which makes you laugh. But listen, Venezuela has shit. And they will draw from the region, and they will draw from the culture in that area. And so, don't mistake it. This could be Donald Trump's Vietnam, hopefully.
And you know what?
And they have a right to defend themselves, too.
Yeah, look,
right?
I mean, the reality of it is, inside Maduro's family, as you call them, his friends that will come up and defend him, is Xi and the Chinese army and Russia. There's basically a client state of Vladimir Putin's Russia and of China. So they would love nothing more than to see America caught up in a quagmire in South America while they're happily going to try and take Taiwan and the rest of Ukraine, because all our forces are going to be focused on winning this quagmire war that he's so determined to get into. Not to mention the fact that there really is no reason. There's no pretext to go in there. Their pretext is there's some sort of drug smuggling thing going on, which it's not happening. It's not happening. We all know it's not a drug smuggling. Sure, some drugs coming from Venezuela, but not to the extent that it's now the number one cause for us to go to war in the world. And for Donald Trump, to pretend that that's the reason he's going to war is disingenuous, and everyone can see that. And if you go into a war that has no meaning, that you're just going in because you want to just get the oil, which is basically what they want to do, you're going to lose that war. We've learned this lesson. If you don't have like a real moral authority to go in and fight a war, you're going to lose it. And that's why we've lost the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. And that's why we continue to prosecute this ridiculous policy that we know is going to fail, because all he cares about is the oil. And it's the pretext is just nonsense.
Let's talk about the wars that America has waged in vain. Let's talk about weapons of mass destruction. How'd that go? Not great. Yeah. Not great. In Iraq, Afghanistan, not great. Let's talk about Vietnam after they staged the Gulf of Tonkin. Didn't go great, right? Let's talk about the Bay of Pigs. Let's talk about every war America has fought on their own. They've lost. Every single one. Every single one, because they're not fighting for national pride when they go into Vietnam, when they go into Afghanistan, when they go into Iraq. And the people in those armed forces know it. They're fighting for oil. They're fighting for interest. They're fighting for
opium,
PR. They're fighting for opium. They're fighting for land rights, minerals. And the American military, and this is going to be very interesting to see what happens, because you saw the other day, if I'm not mistaken, the admiral that was in charge of the Southern Fleet, right, the Caribbean Fleet. You saw him walk away. He's like, "Here are my anchors. I'm out. Done. Not interested in doing this anymore."
Wanted them to kill people. They wanted him to kill people.
Yeah, and this was after the last extrajudicial killing that killed 2 Colombians and 2 people from Trinidad and Tobago, but 2 people lived. And they're talking. They're now prisoners, but they're now talking about what they do, where they're from, who they are. I don't doubt that the FBI, the CIA, the Trump regime is already down there trying to paint them, frame them as drug dealers. And I don't doubt, who knows, they might even be drug dealers. I can't, but we've seen zero proof, no receipts for the reason that Donald Trump is engaged in these extrajudicial killings. And on top of that, we've seen gloating over the death of people that are not American, that are in international waters, actually in their own waters. A lot of these people were killed in Venezuelan waters and Caribbean waters that belong to their countries of origin. And they're just picking these guys off. Yeah. They're just making a fucking example of the firepower of the United States of America. And back to Venezuela, they have a fucking right and a duty to protect themselves.
Absolutely.
And if you don't think, like, for a second, listen, Maduro is a dictator. Maduro is an asshole. He's all the things that we know he is. We're not doing that to other dictatorial countries, are we? Like, I mean, we're not doing this to Russia.
We would be attacking Russia, but we're not doing that.
Yes.
We're not doing that. You know, the number 3 story is actually the story you're talking about. The U.S. military killed an unknown number of suspected drug traffickers in the Caribbean near Venezuela on Thursday. But for the first time since Trump's drug war escalated last month, some people survived and are now detained on a Navy vessel. It's 6th known attack on suspected drug boats since September, bringing the disclosed death toll to 27. But the capture of survivors raises massive new legal questions about Trump's campaign of violence in international waters. Democrats and at least one Republican in Congress are calling this indefensible. And they're right. It is an indefensible use of deadly force against innocent people. And now that there are prisoners, the administration has to figure out what to do with them. So this is a bit of a nightmare for the administration.
Yeah, because there's people that survived. Listen, if you saw that last bombing, congratulations. I mean, how you survived that is unbelievable. 2 of the men that survived, both from Trinidad and Tobago. They're both on a Navy vessel in the Caribbean right now, both being treated for their injuries. The interesting part about this is the lack of information and communication about any of the individuals involved, right? Everybody to this point has been killed, which I believe the toll is now 25. If the 2 survived, those 27 lives that have been targeted by the Trump regime so far to date. All 5 boats, 27 lives, 25 are dead, 2 have lived. The lack of information about any of the intentions of any of these people that were on these boats, whether it comes from the Trump regime, which, by the way, you cannot fucking trust a word they say. They are pathological fucking liars. And they are creating a movie scene and a set for them to do this. This is not business as usual for the United States of America protecting Americans. This is a show. This is a show of force. This is an excuse-bearing show of force. This is an idea that, hey, listen, if we keep doing this, then we can label drug cartels terrorists and we can go in and justify that war in Venezuela. That is what they do. 2 of these men in this boat were Colombian, 2 were from Trinidad and Tobago, and they're going into Venezuela.
Makes no sense.
And the
And-
other people that we just, and this is the truth, the other people that were murdered, half of them were from Venezuela. The other half were from parts unknown. None of their families are talking because someone got to them. People got to them. No idea how or what or where. But you literally cannot find any source material on the identities of any of these individuals who were killed in these boats. Not one.
And how is this helping the United States? I mean, if they're going to go to war against Venezuela, surely they're blowing up boats from, your spaceships while people are trying to do fishing in the international waters. Is that going to help you get any sympathy from the country you're invading? Are Venezuelans going to think, oh, here are my liberators? Or are they going to think, here are these crazy people coming in to attack us? They're the ones who killed all the people on the fishermen boats.
Well, but here's the thing, Zev. I don't think they care. Like you mentioned Russia and China before, both being merchant states for Venezuela. We know that they've got a lot of equipment from Iran as well, right? The axis of evil. In the deal-making world that we're not privy to, where it comes to Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, I can imagine a scenario, and I've heard this kind of talked about, and I'll put it out there, I think, for people, and it's not a conspiracy theory, but I can imagine a scenario where a guy like Vladimir Putin, when Trump wins, and they're scheming and planning to carve up North America, Asia, Europe with Xi, they look at him and go, listen, you want North America and South America? You got it. You go ahead and do whatever you want in Venezuela. We'll pretend that, oh, you can't do that. Well, and we'll walk away from the table with Venezuela. We'll remove our support. You can have South America and North America, the Americas, if you will, and we will take Europe. Xi will take, Asia, and no one's the happier. No one's worse for wear. I can see that being part of this equation. And if you listen kind of to certain, intelligence folks out there in the mill blogging community, intelligence communities, it's a pervading theme that that a guy like Vladimir Putin will take a loss so he can take a gain. And Lev said it today in the Week in Review before we got on. He's like, Vladimir Putin's the kind of guy that we like, yeah, you want to go ahead and wipe out St. Petersburg? Here's the neighborhood. Go after them. Do whatever you want to do with those tomahawks. That'll justify our ability to answer back and take the rest of Ukraine. If you think any of these world leaders give a fuck about Nicolas Maduro or the people of Venezuela at this point in time, you're crazy.
No, they will. There's Gaza, there's Taiwan, there's Ukraine, and there's Venezuela. Those things are on the table right now, and each of their invaders have designs on those countries, and they want them. Maybe there'll be some sort of deal. Maybe there already is a deal saying this is what's going to happen. But in the execution of that, a lot can happen, and a lot can go wrong, and a lot of quagmires can be created just because you've created an idea in people's brains. Does not mean it's actually going to succeed in its execution. And there's a lot that needs to be thought about. And even if, that whole notion is ridiculous. You don't just host trade countries like that. But, I guess in this part of the world,
well, we live in a time where they do, right? Like, we've never seen Trump align with Putin and Xi. We've never seen a U.S. leader align with Russia and China until
this is
now.
what happens.
Yeah.
This is why. The other part of the story that deserves a mention here is this Admiral you were talking about, Elvin Halsey. He's the top U.S. military official overseeing these strikes. He stepped down after only 1 of 3 years in his assignment. It's unusual that that's happened. The reading into it is that he asked about whether it was legal to be attacking these boats in the Caribbean, and his response was, "You better leave your job." Basically, he did not get a response. So whether he resigned because of the response that he got, or whether he was forced to resign because he asked the question, it tells you a lot about what's happening inside the military right now. And it's a shame that we're losing these principled soldiers in these higher ranks who are doing the right thing ultimately, but what a loss for the military.
My understanding is from some of the source reporting that I've read and the open intel is that effectively how you just briefly and brilliantly summarized it is exactly what happened. He tried to run it up the chain and go, are we doing the right thing here? Like just simply asking the question. And was told in no uncertain terms he's not allowed to ask that question. He's the fucking commander. He's the admiral of the Southern Fleet. He's in charge of everything in the U.S. Navy south of the United States of America.
Yeah.
And they're like, you don't have access to that answer. And he's like, okay, well, what does that mean? And it was apparently told, you can either keep doing your job or you can leave. And that's when his anchors came off. That's when he said, I'm out.
You got to ask the question, at what point does the rest of the military, whose job it is to defend the Constitution, at what point do they say, well, enough is enough? We're not going to all be committing the crimes for this one politician who's telling us to do so in the White House. When do they, and what can they do in order to defend the Constitution? I mean, what happens if the president of the United States is a criminal who's forcing the entire U.S. military to commit crimes and break the Constitution and go defy the Constitution and their oaths to that Constitution? How do they act, and can they act?
That's a great question. I think, that is going to be a hell of a book and university lecture series, right? Where one day we're going to be asking ourselves, how did or didn't the men and women, between Donald Trump and the United States of America, the citizens of the United States of America, how did they or did they not adhere to their oath to the Constitution of the United States of America? And, there are two schools of thought there when you talk to people. And I've got friends in the high-ranking guys in the Canadian Navy that connect with guys in the United States Navy. And it is an existential issue for so many of them, right? You follow orders. It's what you're kind of taught to do. It's what you're bred to do. That's what you're trained to do. Not question orders. Hoo-ah. You go out, you kill, you come back.
But you do question if they're legal. You're meant to question if they're legal.
Well, see, now you can't question Donald Trump, right? And so what a lot of these generals, specifically that were in that Come to Jesus meeting with Pete Nutsack and Donnie Diapers, a lot of those generals are like, if we leave, we get Kash Patel's running the fucking Navy. If we leave, we get angry hoo-yah sycophants and Trump addicts who will do much worse than we will do, right? And I liken it to this analogy because I think it's really important is do they stand up for their values and stay, or stand up for their values and go? Because if you stand up for your values as an officer in the United States military, specifically even in Canada, you stay and act as that buffer between the sycophants that are running the government, the civilian assholes that think that because they were elected, they get to go and murder Canadians, murder Americans, murder Venezuelans. They get to do whatever they get to attack their own citizens with the military and the National Guard. And they can affect so much more change by staying and being kind of a spoke in the wheel that makes sure that, their oath to the Constitution protects the people of the United States of America. But then there are going to be examples like this where, the admiral of the South Fleet just basically says, hey, I need to do my job. And they're like, you don't have a job unless you do exactly what we tell you to do. And they're looking at a guy like Pete Hegseth that is telling them what to do.
Yeah.
A guy like Donald Trump that's telling them what to do, who 3 weeks ago, he threatened, both of them threatened, called them fat beardos, and said, if you don't do what we're going to do, if you don't attack American citizens, your career, your pension, your rank, it's gone. So, I mean, what a fucking nightmare, like an anxiety-filled nightmare.
Yeah.
For any high-ranking officer in the United States military.
You probably do need the people who are going to say, I can't do this, and ask the questions, because you need that on the record. You need to show the other generals and the other military brass that this is happening, that if you question the legality of an order, you're going to get fired. Because that needs to be seen. And, just a few weeks after that Come to Jesus meeting, as you called it, with Hegseth and Trump, the generals are looking for this. They're looking to see, well, where are can we test the boundaries of all these things? What happens when we ask about the legality of an order? And what happens when they ask the guy got fired? That's an answer they probably didn't want to get, but they've got it now. So my question is, what do they do now that they have the answer? It's an unpleasant answer to get. And, there's all sorts of scenarios. Certainly hold your ground, be a buffer is one thing, but you're still going to have to order your command, people you're commanding to go and do illegal things.
God forbid those two survivors actually start talking.
Yeah. Poor guys.
Oh, my God. Anyway.
What a mess.
Yeah.
What a mess.
Yeah.
And number two, The spy who used AOL, John Bolton, pleaded not guilty Friday to 18 counts of mishandling classified information, facing up to 180 years in prison for keeping a diary or diary notes he wrote while serving as Trump's national security advisor. The indictment accused Bolton of transmitting over 1,000 pages of notes containing top secret information to his wife and daughter via personal email and messaging apps as he prepared to tell his book or write his book, The Room Where It Happened. Some people say it's political revenge. Others say there's a real crime that's happened here. John Bolton is a questionable guy, and his questions go back many, many decades. He may have been using AOL to spy. I mean, that's may have been what he was doing. Who knows?
Do you remember when Pete Hegseth put out plans to attack Yemen on Signal?
Yeah, same kind of rationale. Smart people. Where it can be easily intercepted by everybody. AOL. AOL.
Do you remember that? So
yeah.
The double standard here is obvious. I don't even need to spend time on it or sound like, amazed by the fact that Donald Trump managed to get John Bolton indicted for 18 counts of espionage for exchanging information electronically in an unsecured account. This was because he was sending information, writing his book, back to his wife and his daughter, who were apparently acting as editors for his book. So he's actually just writing a book. And they're like, well, that's classified. You're fucked. Do you know how many boxes of nuclear secrets, other very highly classified information they found in Donald Trump's bathroom?
Oh, many. I don't know the exact number.
112,000. 112,000. So, just to point out the hypocrisy, that's one thing. They're going after John Bolton for him exchanging contemporaneous notes that he took in his diary from meetings he had, high-profile meetings he had, where he was in the room with Trump and specific world leaders. And I'll tell you why he's pissed, why Trump is pissed. He's not pissed about the notes that he took. He's pissed that he printed them because one of the notes that he took, and this is the issue that John Bolton has. And I wish I was kidding, is that John Bolton, part of the classified information was John Bolton revealing that Trump in a meeting with Putin asked John Bolton if Finland was part of Russia.
Oh boy. We are in deep trouble. We are in deep trouble when that's the situation. I mean, that is unbelievable. I remember that story. I remember that came out. The thing is, he's not, Bolton, great. He came out against Trump last time and he wrote the book and made some money out of that. But his history is dodgy to say the least. I mean, he's a neocon who's been wanting to go to war with Iran. He's been in Israel's back pocket for decades. His, reaction to 9/11 was kind of ridiculous. The anti-Muslim movement that he built up.
Can we just stop for a second and notarize the whole thing with Iran too? Because do you know how the Trump regime came into the knowledge that
the Iranians hacked the AOL account because it's so easy to hack AOL. It's so easy to hack AOL. They don't even know it existed.
It's like Iran's trying to kill John Bolton because John Bolton's like, we should just wipe Iran off the face of the earth. They're like, fuck you, John Bolton. And so they go and they dig and they hack and they get his private server for AOL and they get this information. You know what they did? Is they sent it to the Trump regime. And those documents that Russia stole, that they hacked, that they handed over to the Trump regime, is what the Trump regime used to charge John fucking Bolton.
It's not the first time that Trump has been working with the Iranians. I recall the Baku Hotel in Kazakhstan was funded by the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, or dirty money from the Iranian Revolutionary Guard.
I didn't know that.
So he has his contacts to the Iranian higher ranks, and he would know that, even though he claims to be an enemy of Iran. He has contacts. He has ways of finding out. And who knows, maybe they did it in concert. They certainly had their interests aligned in this case. Trump wanted him out, and the Iranians had the goods, and he's out. At number 2 on the countdown.
Number one.
Are we at number 1?
Yep.
Number
Trust
1
me.
on the countdown.
Ukraine. Ukraine weapons, Tomahawks.
It's not. I can't find it here, but
what the fuck?
Trump hosted Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky at the White House today.
There we go. You got it.
seeking American Tomahawk missiles to strike deep inside Russia. But the meeting came just hours after Trump took a call from Vladimir Putin that yielded an upcoming summit in Budapest and left Trump suddenly skeptical about giving Ukraine the weapons. More of the same in this geopolitical game between Zelensky, Putin, and Trump. And we're just going to be waiting another 2 weeks now before anything else happens.
Yeah, actually, Donnie 2 weeks actually said 2 weeks today. And he said it yesterday. It was weird, right? Like every time he's like, give it a couple weeks. We're going to meet in a couple weeks.
He knows that's our collective memory, you know.
This is, by the way, just so everybody knows, this is an end run. Okay. And let me give you some kind of principles of this end run so you can kind of put it together in your head. Let's map this out. During the press conference yesterday, prior to Zelensky coming today, Donald Trump put out a tweet, long Truth Social post. I'll save you, the 3 minutes it'll take me to read the bullshit. But effectively, he's like, had a great call with Putin. We're talking trade, bruh. We're talking trade. Everything's going to be great. We had a great conversation. By the way, he loves my wife. Who doesn't love my wife? She's a great wife. Putin loves my wife. And she talked to him too. Anyway, things are going to be great. Zelensky will be here. We're looking forward to meeting with him and Zelensky in Budapest in 2 weeks. Donnie, 2 weeks. Okay.
Russia's trying to buy Trump with trade. We're trying to deal. We're trying to buy him off.
Correct.
Bribing him.
Let's go back to the first conversation we had today. What was it about?
It was about a bridge.
A bridge.
It's too far.
And minerals and trade. Way too far. A tunnel underneath the Bering Strait.
Yeah.
The negotiating and the haggling that's going on right now over Ukraine without Ukraine being in the room is one of the sickest, saddest fucking things I've ever seen in my life. And I watched Anna Paulina Luna, Kirill Dmitriev today, who we talked about off the top, effectively threaten everybody with World War III unless we normalize relations with the United States. I watched Vladimir Zelensky sitting in a black suit across the table from Trump and his stone-cold group of kakistocracy assassins across the table from him. Just the biggest collection of fucking idiots America has ever assembled as whatever you want to call this government. And a Russian reporter off the top. Can we play the clip one more time? Great place to end. I don't know if you have it.
Yeah. We also got it to Nick, by the way, so we might invite him.
Trump tunnel to connect Russia and Alaska. Are you interested?
I just heard about it. A tunnel from Russia to Alaska. I just heard about that one. That's an interesting one. We'll have to think about that. I hadn't heard that. We just did a nice road in Alaska that's going to get us to a lot of minerals, and we have a piece of it, a good piece of the ownership because of the fact we made it possible. But this came up yesterday, a tunnel from Russia to Alaska. That's an interesting. What do you think of that, Mr. President? Do you have any ideas? How do you like that idea?
I'm not happy with this.
I don't think you're going to like. I don't think you like it.
That was in front of Zelensky. The embarrassment, right? That was meant to embarrass Volodymyr Zelensky. That was meant to tell him, listen, it kind of doesn't really matter what you're doing because I'll do whatever the fuck I want with Vladimir Putin. And that was a pretext to other conversations that they had where Donald Trump's like, tomahawks, no tomahawks, haven't decided. And Zelensky's like, hey, listen, we still need America's help. We're desperate to, end this war. Donald Trump has a chance to finish this war. Yesterday, Donald Trump was like, we need all the tomahawks, So, they're literally putting Ukraine through purgatory right now and the people of Ukraine. And if you talk to anybody in Ukraine about this, they've stopped giving a fuck about anything Donald Trump says. Because they're kicking the shit out of Russia right now on their own territory. They're striking deep into the heart of Russia. They've destroyed 70% of their oil refining capabilities. They've destroyed 50% of their ability to actually transmit oil across and out of the country to sell oil at different ports. They're not fucking listening to Donald Trump anymore. The reason why, and Zelensky, if I'm him, I'd just stop fucking showing up to the Oval Office. But the reason why is because they know he's full of shit. Like Ukrainian intelligence understands one thing, and that is they are on their own with the coalition of the willing against Russia, and Trump is fucking out. The games that he's played over the past 9 months, stringing along that beautiful country that has fought for its life so fucking valiantly for the past, 4 years, when it was supposed to be over in 3 days, is the greatest story known to man at this point in time. So, pay attention, keep your head on a swivel. but know one thing and one thing only, is that everything Donald Trump says about Ukraine is a lie. It's a rug. It doesn't matter, because all he's trying to do is run out the clock so that, he can continue to enrich himself and continue to deal make with Vladimir Putin. But if I know one thing about the Ukrainian people, and I've seen it to date so far, they're going to decide when they capitulate. They're going to decide when the war is over, not Donald Trump.
And nor Vladimir Putin. Now, the interesting thing is, if that doesn't make you angry, if this show doesn't make you angry enough to go into the streets tomorrow, nothing will, because there's a lot to make you upset about Donald Trump. And that is why tomorrow many, many millions of people will pour into the streets of America to protest this government for the No Kings protest around the country. Nick Parrow and Narrative, which is my little outfit, is going to be putting together some live coverage for you tomorrow. For everyone here on Substack, and Nick joins us today to talk about that coverage and also about your protest plans. What do you have for us, Nick?
Yeah. Before we start, Nick, I just want to thank you for combing your hair today. And
you're welcome. Sometimes
I do like the wild.
Sometimes I'm a little wild. Sometimes I'm a little not.
I dig it. There's been a couple of different podcasts I've done where I'm like, why bother? Right? Let's just go into the next one. Let's go into that one. Anyway.
I just woke up. What do you mean? It's like we go to sleep, we wake up, we podcast, we go to sleep.
Exactly.
We wake up.
Yeah, but Nick is in charge of Banner and Backbone. Nick Parrow is a great account you can follow. He's a former current United States veteran, served with distinction in the United States Army, and he sings the praises of the American people and democracy. You're involved in No Kings this weekend. You're in, is it Arkansas or Alabama?
Arkansas.
Okay, it's the cousinest fucking state.
No, that's West Virginia. That's West Virginia. Okay. They have that distinction, not us. We're not far down the totem pole. We're only like 50. We're only like 44th or 45th in education. We're still 5 states above the bottom.
Like, so you're in like platonic relationship with a cousin territory.
That's that cousin.
Sorry. For us, it's Alberta. Anyway, continue. Let's talk about No Kings
or the Northeast Kingdom in Vermont, where not too far where I grew up from in general. So I'm used to the incest jokes. Both.
Let's just talk about the No Kings processes.
No Kings. Anyway, so I'm Nick Parrow, if you don't know me at this point, and Zev said, I run Banner and Backbone. With some other folks, Lawrence Winterman, friends Melissa Corrigan, Ellie Leonard, Shane Yerrick, folks like that. And tomorrow we're going to be doing a live stream where we're going to be requesting people send in videos to our Banner and Backbone DM. If you have any videos that you'd like to have posted or shown on loop or on of you and signs that you see, things like that, we're going to be doing a live stream event, like Zev said, in conjunction with Narrative for a really cool multi-platform streaming of what the media is not going to cover. And so assuming weather cooperates, I'm in what we call the danger avocado. In this part of the world, it's when they describe how tornadoes are formed, like the weather patterns for potential tornadoes and supercells, they call it a danger avocado because the pit is always really dark red for the color, and then it goes like green, yellow, and green, so it looks like an avocado on your screen.
Right.
So we're in the big heart of the yellow avocado for tomorrow. So if we're not stormed out, I'm going to be going to 2 Arkansas rallies, one in Rogers, Arkansas, and one in Fayetteville, where I'll be live streaming throughout that, secondarily to the full live stream event. So I'm going to be figuring out how I'm going to manage 2 different live streams. But the first rally I'll be at before we do any of our live streams. Second rally, I'll be ending and then jumping in and doing the big event with Zev. And hopefully, Dean, if you're able to join us, folks like Lev, if we can find maybe get Waj pulled in, I think he'd be an incredible guest I know he's going to be doing some stuff throughout the day also.
So what time do you think we're going to get going on the main event then?
On the main event, it depends. My event is in Arkansas is from 12 to 2 Central Time, which means we'll be lining up with Chicago time. for their main event. I think you were saying sometime between 2 and 5 is when they're holding, not quoting you on it, but
Yeah, I'm not sure the
I'll have
exact
to
time,
look
but somewhere.
into the exact timing of when some of the bigger rallies are being held in specifically Chicago or LA, because I'd love to see what those look like and have people who might be on the ground there, or even in Texas. If we have friends in, I'm hoping to see if we can pull Melissa Corrigan in from Virginia, and get stuff like that. So
So if anyone in this chat right now and watching this right now is going to be out protesting, I'm sure a lot of you will be. DM Nick or myself, and maybe Nick should be the first port of call there. And if you're able to go live with us, if you have a Substack account, then we could take you live. And if you're not, send us some videos, send us some photographs of your events where you're protesting, and we'll happily share them on all our sites. I think on yours too, Dean, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, no,
and-
I'm giving it to No Kings this weekend. It's just it's a No Kings party on my Substack all weekend long.
yeah,
So
and
there's-
if you want for photos, sorry to cut in, if you want for
No.
photos or videos, please make sure to say that you'd like, if you want to be credited for it, like, do you want your name to appear next to it or not? Or else we'll put it as an anonymous photo just being submitted. So if you don't want your name next to it, just say no name. If you do, add in yes name and include what you'd like for your name to be shown as, if you want.
Quite the statement, right?
title.
When you got like in a viral society, we live in a viral
Mm-hmm.
society, and you're saying, "Hey guys, I get it. You might be at one of these rallies. The last thing you want is for you to be put on some kind of fucking Antifa watch list." Totally understand.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
it happened.
I run a book club on Fridays called Anti-Fascist Book Club. So, and I work very closely with Chris Goldsmith, who runs two organizations that are called Veterans Fighting Fascism and Task Force Butler, which is a Nazi hunting organization. So I mean, I pretty well would describe
Chris
myself
is great.
as anti-fascist. Like that is what I am. I served in the army. My grandparents were anti-fascists who fought in World War II. Like
Mine
It's sort
too.
of
we're
it's sort of the
anti-fascists.
Yeah.
American thing to be anti-fascist. It's sort
Yeah,
of it's
pretty
been
much
around.
is.
Yeah, sort of the whole point behind America.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the amazing thing about the memory holing or the co-opting of the word anti-fascist or Antifa, right? They never say that. They never say that part out loud. They never say anti-fascist. They always just go with the short form of Antifa, and they're like, Antifa's dangerous, and you're like, dude, it means anti-fascist, right?
Yeah.
And you can say it 1,000 times in a row. You can scream it in their face, and they'll be like, it's a radical ideology. You're like, no, dude. The first anti-fascists were in the First World War. The second anti-fascists won the Second World War. D-Day was 450,000 anti-fascists storming the fucking beaches of France.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you don't know what an anti-fascist looks like, go watch Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you'll find anti-fascists.
Or Inglorious Bastards.
Yeah, or Inglorious Bastards. Nazis. Killing the Nazis.
Well, this is what America's about. That's what the protest is about tomorrow. I hope everyone is safe and protests peacefully. But it's, this is going to be a big event. It's going to be a historic event. It's an opportunity for you to be a part of a major historic event, because I don't think as many people will ever have shown up at a protest in America as will show up tomorrow. Between 5 and 10 million people across many thousands of events across America. It's an historic day.
2,600 rallies scheduled around the United States of America. The last No Kings Day in the spring, I believe, or early summer. I think that was 2,000 rallies. So you've got an uptick of 600. I want to say 8 to 10 million in the first round. I think projections I've seen anywhere from 10 to 20, 25 million. Chicago had 75,000 people downtown in June for the first No Kings rally. They're expecting 250,000 people in Chicago.
When your grandkids are asking you what you did to stop Trump, you can say, I went to the No Kings rally on October the 18th. It's a really important thing to go to, and I hope everyone does tomorrow and takes advantage of the day to protest this regime that we have in power right now.
Thanks, boys.
And I looked up the time real quick. If we've got a couple seconds.
Yeah.
The No Kings, if at least the Butler Field Grant Park one in Chicago, is from 12 to 2 Central Time. So we'll figure it out how to make sure it lines up, because I'll be on the ground 12 to 2 also, which may work perfectly. So
that could work well.
You and I will figure it out to make sure that we get we get everything hosted right. And
Awesome.
you've got controls where needed.
Well, circle the wagons tonight and tomorrow morning. We'll be with you for No King's Day. Stay safe, be compliant, be peaceful. Don't take the bait tomorrow. It's going to be really important for everybody in the United States of America. And no matter where you are around the world, there's a bunch of rallies here in Canada as well. Geneva, Paris, London, Istanbul has a rally, believe it or not, which I think is going to be fascinating to watch. So we'll see what happens. But Nick Parrow, please tell us where we can find you on Substack. Tell us a little bit about Banner and Backbone, and then we'll let everybody get on with their Friday night because it's 4 o'clock, and nobody, and I mean nobody, should be forced to work past 4 o'clock on a fucking Friday night.
Totally agree. So you can all find me on Sick of This Shit Publications. I do my shows pretty much every day. Y'all see me. A lot of you come into the shows, so thank you for supporting. And then my second network is Banner and Backbone, which is our civic-based content. And we run shows multiple times a week that are focused on fighting techno-fascism. We have Ellie Leonard with Powerful Voices.
She's so awesome.
Ellie's the freaking best. If you haven't followed Ellie, follow Ellie. She's fucking awesome. And the Anti-Fascist Book Club, which is one of our biggest repeating series. We had episode 6 today. We had Chris Goldsmith on the show, who's the founder of the book clubs. We had Tara Devlin, who's part of the Political Voices Network. And she does a lot of work. It's a great place. We'd love to see you guys there. Dean, Zev, you guys have an open invite if you'd ever like to show up and be on the book club and discuss. We're reading On Tyranny right now by Timothy Snyder. So come join us. And that's what we do, is we inform and we give content so that people know how you can engage in democracy freely and easily. It's just an entry point into democracy from a local level and a simple level that is free and easy. We do like money, and paying the bills are important, so become paid subscribers if you can. But free subscribers really help too.
Sounds great. Everyone should follow Nick Parrow. That is the FiveStack today. We'll be back on Monday with another edition. See you then. And of course, certainly no King's protest coverage tomorrow. Cheers, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.